So we were talking about some of the stuff on defense, and we're going to get back to the defense in a little bit. But Zoe, James Conner going down with injury, and he's not going to be playing for a few weeks here at least. They're already so thin at a lot of positions. I mean, lest we forget, they started the season without their starting quarterback too. But just specifically on offense, now you lose James Conner. I mean, I would think as an opposing defense that at least makes my prep for the week a little bit easier because Conner was doing so much. We were looking at his numbers earlier in the week. Like, he's averaging more yards per carry than McCaffrey and, like, pretty much everybody in the league. And it feels like most times people know he's getting the ball and he's still getting the yards anyway.
Right. I mean, he's a difference maker. He's one of those guys that you can build around and you want on your team from a production standpoint, a leadership standpoint, and a physicality standpoint, right? And with Kyler being out and you having a young quarterback in Josh Dobbs, and I know he's been in the league forever, but young as far as experience, you want to have a guy of his caliber back there. And he's been pounding the ball, even when he gets stalemate, he makes guys feel him. And over a course of a game, he wears people down typically. And even last week, you see that big play potential and ability that he has, shrugging a couple of dudes off, finding the edge, and taking the ball, 30, 40 yards down the field. And you're going to miss that type of explosion from a guy like that, as well as the leadership stuff when things aren't going right, being able to call guys out, getting guys' faces, let guys know, hey, we need to be able to bounce back and get this thing going right.
Yeah, I think the intangibles are going to be missed. His leadership is infectious. I think that's a key. Also, little things like pass pro.
Right.
So, I mean, that can't be overlooked as well. So, going forward, what do? I mean, DeMercado is going to get more of a look. Keontae Ingram, you hope, is healthy enough to make a difference. Maybe using Josh Dobbs' legs more in the running game. Rondell Moore getting creative. We saw a great play call against the Bengals. But you have to control the football.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to win that time of possession against a team like the Rams.
And that's, I think, to your point, I think they're going to have to get creative. I don't know so much about letting Dobbs get back there and doing more with him. Maybe a carry or two more. Right, anytime you're putting your quarterback in harm's way.
A little bit,
I guess. I mean, I know you're not maybe looking long term, but you don't want to put Dobbs. He can run it. He's physical, but he's still a quarterback. At the end of the day,
you called his number on the biggest 4th-and-1 play of the game last week.
And they shouldn't have.
I'm just saying, a little different.
Maybe they shouldn't have.
Just a little different, man. I get what you're saying, though, right? You're going to have to get creative. Other guys are going to have to step up.
Yeah.
And because they have to be able to run the ball to set up the play action and some of the things they want to do down the field, and also to help the front line. Because what we did see last week, right, they have to be able to control and move the ball and stay in front of the chains, and because they can't survive with these 3-and-outs. They had way too many 3-and-outs last week. And then you put that in conjunction with the turnovers, right? And it really push your team behind the 8 ball. And so they're going to have to figure out a way. Somebody's going to have to step up. The offensive line is going to have to take their game to another level in the running game because that is when they're running the ball at an efficient rate, it's a really good football team, really good. But when they get behind and they're a little struggling, not being able to run the ball effectively, that's when everything becomes harder. Things get a lot more cloudy for Josh. And we see some of these throws that he's making, like, dang, why he throw that, right? Because the play-action game may not have drawn that linebacker up as much. And then the one of his picks, guys were kind of stacked behind each other. The one tipped and the other guy picked it off. That was unfortunate with the pick 6. But they have to be able to run it effectively and going to have to come up with some creative ways to be able to do it.
If you're on this team, I mean, are you concerned at all that, so like, at least to me, Conner seems to embody a lot of what they want the culture and the personality of this team to be, and you're already playing without Budda Baker, and just like a lot of the guys that you are either building around for the future or building around right now for this season are all kind of out of the lineup now. So now you're looking for leadership too.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. I still think they have some guys on defense that, I mean, anytime, I'm a huge Dennis Gardeck fan, and so anytime he's on the field, you're going to have some leadership from the defensive standpoint. Obviously, on the offensive side, you start trying to look. They still have some guys out there. Zach Ertz, maybe he's not playing as well as we want him to, but they have some leadership guys. Josh I think, is a great leader. I think guys have bought into him. So they have guys that are out there that may not be to the same caliber as Conner and Budda because of what they embody and how they play the game, right, in their production. But they do have some other solid guys that are still active, that are still in those rooms. And those guys will be around. It's not the same as when you're playing. So I think they'll be fine in that. And I think the culture has been established as far as this is the expectation, as far as how you need to play this game. And if you're a guy that's coming off the bench or practice squad getting your opportunity, you better fall in line with that, or you know you're going to be out of there fairly quickly as far as them bringing another guy in, since you didn't want to live up to that standard.
So be real honest with me in terms of the veterans' perspective, because I understand the company line is next man up. And legitimately, that has to be the case if you want to win football games in this league when you have a lot of guys injured. Somebody has to step up if you want to compete and win.
Yeah.
But answer me this, though, especially through the prism of a veteran's perspective. You're in that locker room, and you see Thompson out, you see Baker out, you see Connor out, and you know the team isn't uber talented to begin with. If you're a veteran on that team, man, don't you kind of sit in front of your locker and is there a part of you that's like, oh man,
yes,
this isn't good, brother.
Right.
This isn't good. No matter what you say publicly to the media.
Yeah, like, I mean, people are. I mean, as a player, you have perspective, right? You understand, like, hey, man, our best guys are down. Right, but I think as football players and any elite athlete, you have been taught to compartmentalize those things, and so that's a rational perspective to have. Like, yeah, we probably ain't gonna win this game if we, with these guys down. But once you in practice and you're preparing and you step across that line to compete, that is not in your mind. Like, oh, we may. I mean, you don't compete like that. Guys and women that play at the elite level aren't wired to think, once I step out here because XYZ is not out here, we're going to lose this game. You are singular focused on, we're winning this game. I got to do my job. Dudes better step up. Ladies better step up. And we got to get this thing done regardless of who's out there with me.
As a veteran player and a starter, do you always, in your heart of hearts, believe that the backups or young players can and will get the job done on Sunday?
No. And I say that
scares me, yeah.
And I say that as if you show me a body of work, right? And that's why veterans typically a couple of weeks in, you can say, oh man, that young dude he's gonna be able to play. He's gonna be like I had Marcus Golden. I didn't get a chance to play with him at all, but I had him as a rookie here, and I knew he was gonna be in the league 10 years, right? Once I saw him after a couple of weeks, right? And so there are guys like that you trust. Like, this guy gets in, he gonna get a shot. He gonna make some plays. There's other guys like, ooh, I'm not sure. I hope, right? You're going with I hope versus I know.
Yeah.
And that's a hard place to be in when
it's a big difference.
When you hoping a guy is gonna show up versus a guy is gonna show up. And that's in life in general, right? You can identify people like, they get opportunity. He ain't gonna be good, or like, oh, okay, I trust it, I'm good. Wolf is not here, Tim is in. We know we gonna have a good show, right?
Sure hope so.
You know what I mean? But there's some people in here, Leak was like, please don't call him. You know what I mean? So it's a faction of life. But I would say for the most part, if you're on an NFL team, for the most part, most guys you have confidence in, right? You don't want to put them out there too long. Right? You don't want to expose them too long, but so that's why you have to go out there and play really well when those type of guys are in certain positions.
Good stuff.